Yeah, I'm Dr. Angela Tabiri. Sometimes I forget I'm a doctor, but actually, yeah, I'm Dr. Angela Tabiri, and yeah, I'm a mathematician, full-time. I work as a postdoctoral fellow at AIMS Ghana, so I'm paid to do research and also to teach, and I also work part-time at University of Ghana. I grew up in Ashaiman, so if you know of Ashaiman, there are a whole lot of stories about Ashaiman. There are slums, there are good areas. So I've lived in I've lived in a residential area, I've lived in a slum, I've lived in all these places. So yeah, that really shaped me in a sense because all I could see around me at certain stages where you could see ladies who after school, JHS, they'll get pregnant and they'll drop out of school. You see drug addiction, you see all these, but I wanted to be something different. So for me, it was all about books, right? Because I believed the books would make the difference. So yeah, so my background, yeah, I grew up in Ashama. I was born there. I grew up. I went to my school there. So yeah, my parents are still alive. I have five sisters. So I'm the last of six girls. Yeah. So my home was all girls. So maybe it's also shaped me in a sense that there were no rules for guys and there were no rules for girls. So I see my sisters, we are all fierce. Like we all go out there and we conquer, yeah. Because yeah, we had to be out there to make things, to make things happen, yeah. So that's my background, yeah. I went to Anu Memorial School, which is in Ashaiman, Middle East, and which was just like 2 blocks from my home. And from there I went to Accra Girls Secondary School here. Shout out to my girls people. Yeah, so I did business at Accra Girls Secondary School. Then from there I went to University of Ghana. Yeah. I would describe myself in 3 words. You mentioned one, I'm a mathematician, so I do maths for a living, so yeah. Then the second part is I'm a science communicator because I believe as scientists, the research we do should be able to be accessible by the lay public. So I do a lot of science communication in primary schools, secondary schools, and at all levels. Then the third, I'm a maths queen. So I have this initiative to make maths attractive to young girls. So yeah, so I'm kind of an ambassador and I'm trying to recruit more women to come on board. Yeah. So looking back after the whole attention after your story about my PhD, I was thinking of what made a difference for me when I was growing up. And for me, it was more of my parents allowed us to play. We played a lot. So after school, I don't remember picking a book to study. So I was the type that after school, you see me out playing indoor games or card games, outdoor games. I used to play football a lot, volleyball, like everything. I'll play with the guys and everything. So for me, it shaped my creativity because mathematics is mostly about creativity. So I was allowed to play a lot when I was a child, and I was involved in lots of extracurricular activities. So we will have youth clubs where you meet, you learn a dance or you learn about a story or things. So it was more of the extracurricular stuff that shaped me. So yeah, even though I was good in class, growing up, I didn't really have to spend too much time studying in order to do well. But of course, as you go ahead, you have to study in order to pass. Yeah. So my childhood was mostly about the outdoor experiences that shaped me here, the creativity stuff. So my story is, it's a little bit a roller coaster, right? So I was telling people I wasn't a science student in secondary school for the first place. So growing up, I have 5 sisters and so forth. I had a lot of females around me, and for me it was more about doing what my older sisters, I'm the youngest, right? So my sisters did business in secondary school, so I also wanted to do business. Like people said science was difficult, so and I wasn't so curious about this. So I didn't do science. So I did business in the secondary school. So in the secondary school, as a business student, most students aspire to be chartered accountants. So I remember when people asked, oh, what do you want to be? I want to be a chartered accountant. You write your ACC and you pass. But for me, it was at a university that I made that decision to do mathematics because I realized even though I was doing well in accounting and the rest, my mathematics was also very strong. So it was at a university that I realized, oh, okay, I got so much joy and passion from doing mathematics. So for me, that was when I decided, was at the university, I decided maths was it. Yeah. Mathematics was very challenging. It wasn't like the usual SS. I could get like 90, but like I got very good scores in secondary school. But in the university, it's a different approach. So you have to spend more time on it, try to understand things. So I struggled a little in the beginning. But for me, One thing I realized that made a difference was that I reached out to my tutors and my lecturers. So I remember there was a day I was walking on campus very confused and all that, and I met someone who advised me to go and see a tutor, and I'm very grateful to, because sometimes all you need is a little more time to explain things to you. So for me, that was very life-changing. When the person explained things to me, I realized, oh, okay, it's not that difficult. I had to just dedicate more time and attention to it. So that was one of the life-changing moments, like getting someone to explain things to me so that I could know that, okay, maths is okay. Then another would be, it was more about the teamwork. So in maths, you are given exercise sheets every week to work on, but I had a group of people I used to work with, and for me, it helped because I had my strengths and I had my weaknesses. So if it came to something that I was good at, I would go to the board and I would discuss it with them. If it came to something that they were good at, so it was more about the teamwork, which were pivotal. And maybe the last would be mentors. Yes.
So was the person your mentor at the time?
Yeah. So at the university, I had one female lecturer, Dr. McIntyre. Unfortunately, she passed just a few weeks ago, but this was me coming to a maths department, very male dominated, and this was a female who was the head of department. There were very few doctors in our department. We had 2 professors then, but very few doctors. So I remember she was teaching us a course in 3rd year. She would come and, I like it when lecturers they define they set the rules, right? You hand in your assignments before class, you make sure you do things the right way. So, and another thing was she knew our names. So when she brings your assignments to class, she will call you Angela. So for me, it was like so profound. Like, oh, okay. So she knows if I write rubbish, she knows I write rubbish. Or if I write good things, for me, it was nice to see that someone could identify you in a class. Okay, we're not that many too, but like it was very profound. Yeah. So I looked up to her because she was a female in a male-dominated field, and she already had a Ph.D. in mathematics, and she was leading how many men? Like she was the leader of all these men. So it really inspired me, and she was also encouraging. So she was the one who would write a recommendation letter for you, for my master's, for my Ph.D., and every year she would write. She was honest. So she was from Australia. That was one thing I liked. She wouldn't lie in her recommendation letter that you are an excellent student if you weren't, right? So she would write about my enthusiasm about mathematics. She would write about everything about. So yeah, for me it was her. She was very key because in Ghana you do your national service after your undergrad. So I did my 1 year national service, but I was also employed by the university as a teaching assistant. So I spent 2 years after my undergrad at a department. It was because I knew I wanted to do maths, but I was still not convinced. So I still needed to be around maths to be convinced about it. So when I was convinced, so one other mentor who was my lecturer, who is now the president of AIMS Ghana, Dr. Prince Osei, so he asked me to apply to AIMS. So AIMS had just opened a year prior to this at Bura. So he asked me, okay, if you're not sure, just apply there. It's a 1 year program, so within this year you can convince yourself whether this is for you or not. So I got recommendation from this female mentor I talked about, Dr. McIntyre, and another lecturer, Dr. Ejujemfi, to go to AIMS Ghana. And for me, AIMS was the first time I left Accra. So I told you I did my primary school, my secondary school, my university, 2 years teaching in Accra, and here was I. So if you know Bira is a very small fishing village on the way to Cape Coast.
If you take me there.
Oh, okay. And AIMS was on a hill, so there was a hill just by the coast, and it was just a quiet place. So I remember the first day I went, I was scared because I asked myself, is this what I really want? And the AIMS environment is a 24-hour working environment. So when you are admitted at AIMS, it's a scholarship. So you are given accommodation, you are given food and stipends. So you spend all your time in this building and you are supposed to do maths. So lecturers come in and they do all the crazy stuff we do, and you're supposed to understand it. So, and students come from all across Africa. So it was my first time. When you're growing up, you're a champion in your class, right? Then you grow up as a champion from secondary school and up. Now you go here and all the champions from the different African countries are in one place. So I was scared in a sense that, will I fit in? Will I be outstanding and all that? So I went there, and for me that also made a difference because there I realized, okay, my dreams were beyond like Accra, they were beyond Ghana. This was Africa in front of me because we had people from all these places, and I realized, okay, there's a bigger world out there that I could explore. Yeah. So after Ames, I went to Italy before going to Glasgow. So for me, my cultural shock was in Italy. So in Glasgow, I had already gone through my phase of all the lonely, the crying and all that. So in Glasgow, I knew this is Europe. That's how it works. People are not as friendly as in Ghana. You meet people in Ghana on the street, you greet the person, you shake hands, but there you even have an acquaintance, but the person might not want you to greet him or her and all that. So I got the culture shock in Italy. So when I went to Glasgow, it was more of, I'm here for my PhD, right? But I was also aware of the cultural differences. So, but one great thing about Glasgow is that I think it was voted the most friendly city in the world. So people are really friendly. So in Glasgow, you can meet a stranger on the street and talk to the person. You can meet someone at the bus stop and the person calls you pal and the person will be chatting with you. So for me, it made a difference because this was me out there in a country, a place where I didn't have relatives. I didn't know anyone, but people will show you a place when you are lost. People will say hello to you. People will even invite you to their homes. So in Italy, I never went to anyone's home, right? But in Glasgow, I never spent a Christmas all by myself. Families will invite you home. They will give you gifts. You have a meal with them. So for me, I felt it was more of, maybe because they have a lot of international students in the UK. They have a lot of international students and they make a conscious effort to integrate them in their system. So yeah, so people were friendly, but I also had my support system. So I had my African circle, so I had my friends from Malawi, Kenya and all that, and from time to time we would meet, discuss our challenges we are going through and try to see how we could support each other. So I had my African family, I had my Ghanaian family, so we meet occasionally to have our wache and all that. So I would cook wache and invite them, we talk about Ghana politics and all that. Then I had my international family. So for me, I believe you going to a university abroad, you have to have a total experience, a total education. So I won't travel abroad and just stick to my Ghanaian circle. No, this is the whole world just right before me. So I had an international family where every Thursday we'll meet and we'll chat about our culture, food, dressing and all that, and open my eyes to what a Chinese person thinks, what a Brazilian person thinks and all that. And we travel together. So we will go for hikes together, we will go for all these fairs together. So for me, I did a lot. I was all over.
So on the lighter side, before we go on with you graduated with last year. You graduated last year. Can you, on the lighter side, can you tell us something about the food, your first experience?
The food?
Not really in Ghana.
No, so yeah, the food is it's not too great. It's not too great. So I tasted most of the Scottish dishes, but in Ghana we like spicy food, right? So we cook every meal with chili in it, with some onions, and yeah, in the UK they eat a lot of fish and chips, right? So it's potato, they fry it, and the fish they put it in butter and fry it without any spices. So you can imagine, like, you feel this is just oil in your mouth with no, in Ghana we have mango and tilapia, right? You have your ginger in there, your chili in there. So the food, yeah, I struggled. But you see, one thing about, if you want to be in a different culture, you also have to embrace it, right? So you don't go somewhere and all you do is eat your Ghanaian food, right? So I've had a burnt supper, I've had shepherd's, I've had like all the traditional dishes, even though on my daily basis, I would rather cook my own jollof or watch it and eat it, but also embrace their food. And yeah, I appreciate them. They don't like the spices. When I go into your home and you give me them, I will eat it. Like even in the UK. So I remember when I go to places and I introduce myself, I'm Angela Tabiri. I'm a PhD student in mathematics. Then you repeat mathematics. An African, a woman, also studying mathematics somewhere in the UK. Yeah. So yeah, people. Yeah.
So how do they treat you? I'm telling you, they've learned that you are
Yeah, so
older.
so I think I'm a very normal. I try to be down to earth, right? So even though I have a PhD in mathematics, I don't rub it in the faces of people, right? Yeah, doctor of mathematics, I'm carrying it, but I try to come down to everyone's level, right? So that people know I'm a normal person. I don't do crazy stuff, okay? I'm a normal person and have a PhD. It's all about interest, right? I love mathematics and I like to do challenging stuff. So I like to go back to a problem of mine over again. So that's why I love mathematics. Your interest could be in something else. It could be theater arts, or it could be astronomy. It could be anything. But it's all about interest. Yeah. So I'm currently an Google AI postdoctoral fellow. What does it mean? So postdoc means that you finish your PhD and you're doing research. So the difference between a PhD and a postdoc is that for a PhD, you depend a lot on your supervisor. So every week you meet your supervisor, you give an update. But postdoc is supposed to make you independent so that you train more people. So I'm doing independent research, which for me is hard, right? Because I'm used to seeking help from my supervisors, and now I'm here in my office and I have to understand things all by myself. So that's what I do on one side, and the other side I teach. So I teach courses so AIMS has two master's programs. There's the mathematical sciences program and the machine learning program. So for the machine learning, I teach mathematics for machine learning, which for me, for the first time, was very fascinating, because you see all these tech people, you guys, and all the computer guys, they see maths to be very abstract, right? But at that level, you realize that all the AI, the machine learning algorithms are built on mathematics, okay? So if you understand mathematics, you'll be able to do it. So I teach that, and I also teach in their master's program, So it's mostly research and some teaching.
Is this the same thing you do at the University of Ghana?
Yeah, so the University of Ghana is only teaching, So I teach a 4th year level course, So at Glasgow, I realized that I couldn't find a lot of female African mathematicians out there. So I would go for conferences and in different cities, and I realized, okay, there are in the first place few females, and there are also very few Africans. I went to the internet, I didn't find a lot of presence of female African mathematicians. I was thinking, okay, at Glasgow, I've learned of the power of social media, right? So I'm away in Glasgow, but how can I shape the lives of Ghanaian children here? So I remember it was my 28th birthday, my 29th birthday party. Then we launched this, right? So most young girls, what they see on social media is, it's great to look good. You have your hair, you slay, and you take pictures on the red carpet, right? But I also believe that if female mentors in STEM are put out there, a young child, I told you that I decided to do maths because my head of department, my lecturer at the department at University of Ghana was a female, right? So seeing her doing maths made me believe I could do maths, right? Now here's social media. So I go to conferences, I meet people. What can I do to bridge, to create a relationship between these people and my audience back home? So I started first with interviews. So it was mainly, so if I go, I meet my professor, oh, do you want to be interviewed? Then I'll interview them and I'll put it. So Facebook has the greatest audience for our organization. Then we put it also on YouTube. So I started with that. Then I realized, okay, if you want to do this, you have to register it, right? So because you want it to be proper. So it's now a registered NGO, Femme Afrique Maths. And currently, so we do the interviews, but we also believe that we should also go into the classrooms to encourage young girls. With all these discussions, it shouldn't just end there. There should be actual reforms. But my question is, who will push to see that the reforms are done, right? So we make a lot of noise on social media about, they got it, but who is going to make sure that there are proper guidelines so that I got scholarships to study for all my programs, right? I got it not because I knew anyone there. I don't have a card with any political party. They don't even know your political parties, right? But I got there because of merit, right? Academic achievements were brilliant, but they also believed that I was a transformational leader. You see, for my PhD funding, it came from Schlumberger Foundation, which I have to say because it was a lot of investment. But they invest in women in STEM from developing countries who are going to be change agents in their society, right? So they are investing all these pounds. If you go into, you realize that in the UK we pay crazy amounts for tuition fee and for stipends and all that. But they want to be sure that after your PhD, what impact are you making on the ground, right? Are you affecting the decisions of a young person? They realize that 20 years ago they didn't have female engineers on their oil rigs. Why? Because the females didn't see female lecturers at the university. So if you don't see a female lecturer, you think that's
about the mindset.
exactly
Into the future.
Exactly.
Before we go, are you single? Then
sorry.
Are you single?
Sorry, I think now I'm becoming more level-headed, so I'm not single. During my PhD, I was more maths, but after maths, now I'm thinking there's a life. So no. Yeah, so I'll say that in spite of our political affiliations or our ideologies, we are one people, right? If Ghana burns, we all will we lose everything we have worked so hard for, okay? So let's look beyond our political lines. I can be MPP, can be NDC, but in the end, we are still Ghanaians, we are still family, we are still neighbors, okay? So let's not let the politicians instigate us to do violent things. So one thing, you see, you hardly see their family members or their children fighting on the streets for ballot boxes and all that. So think, why is that they don't allow their children to do that, but they make you do that? Because they know that is the wrong thing, and if they are arrested or if they get into trouble, they could be injured. So think beyond the political lines. Believe, it's all about, it's be peaceful, okay? Just vote, and that's all. Don't let the political lines, break us apart. Yeah. So my last word will be in 3 words. Dream, because you can be in a surrounding where you don't see people who are achieving great things, but don't let your surroundings determine where you are going to be. I lived in a surrounding where, I didn't even have medical doctors or lawyers in my surrounding, but I dreamt of doing something great. So don't let your surroundings restrict you. Dream. And the second one is believe. So believe in your dream. So for me, growing up, people will tell you that what are you going to do with mathematics, or even the society will have its own perception about all these, but you should believe that this is what I want to be. I want to become a mathematician. Believe in that dream and find mentors who believe in your dream, okay? Because you can't get there all by yourself. You need all these mentors to write the recommendation letters, to vouch for you that you are brilliant and all that. And the final thing is take action, okay? You can have a dream, you believe in it, but if you don't work towards it. I talked about mathematics. You can't do maths if you are lazy. You need to really constantly work towards it, okay? So make good use of the opportunities you get. Now you have free SHS. Like, you don't even have to think about the finances towards it. Make good use of it. With this, if you do so well, you can do anything that you want to do, okay? So dream, believe, take action.